Hi, my name is Claudine, and I'm not somebody you probably want to give a microphone to, but I promise I'll be short. I'm a speaker, actually, and so, but I do want to say two things really quickly. One, you guys are incredible. This has been so amazing.
It is.
I was so intimidated to come here. I'm not intimidated to speak, but I was intimidated to come to a room full of women who were far thinner than I was. And I told Charlotte, I emailed her and was like, should I even do this? I have a broken little toe. That was my excuse. And my mom's been really, really sick. And it was like, I just don't know if this is a good time. In fact, she didn't know I was here until she got here today. She didn't know I was coming. And I am so thankful I came. Because I will tell you exactly what T-Tapp does for you. It gives you hope.
Yes.
It absolutely gives you hope. And for somebody like me, who, by the way, I was a more category runner-up, which was really an accident, to be able to look around a room and to see people and to hear your stories and to hear about the fibromyalgia or to hear about the low thyroid. I've had, not fibromyalgia, but I've had low thyroid. I speak about depression. My husband and I lived through a time. I gained this weight when I was 22 years ago, when my son was born, and my thyroid quit working. And I went from a nice, sweet size 10, 12, and I was actually modeling at the time, and I went to like a 22, 24, I gained 65 pounds. Most people lose weight nursing. I gained weight nursing. I also had severe postpartum depression, the kind that you hear Brooke Shields and those kind of people talk about, and I thought I was going to hurt my son. There was 3 different times I was so scared and so afraid that we never even had any more kids. It's the only regret I really have in my life. God has been very faithful and very good to me. But I will tell you that it is a scary thing to be this size. I told Milani, who's Charlotte's sister-in-law, one of my dearest friends once, I said, you know, I go around and I talk to people about hope, but I don't have any hope about my weight. I don't believe anymore that I can lose this. And Charlotte, a few years ago, I spoke at your church, and you were still, it was before T-Tapp, and you came up to me after it was over, and you said, Claudine, thank you. You gave me hope. And I remember when this first started, and when I first started seeing you lose weight, the first thing I said was, oh my goodness, this gives me hope. And so I'm here to tell you that the thing that you guys offer everybody with your story is you offer hope.
That's right.
And God will use that. He never sends something into our life until it's time for it to be. And I believe T-Tapp is your time and my time at this point. Real quickly, I want to tell you about the challenge. I know, I'm sorry. I'll tell you about the challenge. I started the challenge really just sort of, I've been taking care of my mom who has Alzheimer's. I actually quit speaking and doing all the stuff I was doing. And I began to take care of my mom. And during the Depression, we call it the Great Depression, when my husband and I were both clinically depressed. The only thing worse than one person clinically depressed is 2. And so there's this whole 9-year story with that. But during the Depression, I would say, well, when I get past this, I'll lose the weight and I'll focus on that. And we were so blessed that we found out about magnesium and we found out about so many of those things. I never was on antidepressants. I did take some Armour, is that what it's called, the thyroid for that. But we were so blessed that we found alternative options to not have to do the medication, but I never lost the weight. And I realized this last January when it got really hard with Mom that I had so neglected me and that my life probably was never going to be where it was time for me to do what I needed to do, that there was always going to be something, and that I needed to figure it out. And I was going to do the January jump start and literally had gotten ready to enter, and like 2 days before it started, I fell in front of a department store and really messed, I tore my rotator cuff, messed up my hip, had a lot of issues, and couldn't do it. And so I was bound and determined I was going to do the 60-day challenge. I got to the 60-day challenge. Things with Mom were increasing, and it was getting harder and harder. But I went ahead and entered, and the first 2 weeks were fine. I was doing the more workout. I was only doing the chair workout. I was doing it about every other day. I wasn't even doing it every day, but at least I was doing something, and I was really excited about it. And about 2 to 3 weeks into the challenge, I was also driving a school bus. I went from doing something where I was up in front of people to driving a school bus just to be able to be around Mom, take care of Mom. But driving a bus, you have your foot out like this, and you're pushing on the gas pedal, and it began to reactivate or whatever that hip pain. And I got to where I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even lift my leg. I would have to put my hands under my knees to lift my leg. And I was so mad because it was like, finally, I was doing something for me. I was in this challenge, and by golly, I was going to do it. But I couldn't. I literally couldn't even do anything. I still tried to do the more, but I couldn't at times even lift. You know how you lift your legs just sitting in a chair? I couldn't even do that. I would try on occasion if I thought it was a good day to do a hoedown. But I realized something that I began to do. You know, I didn't do duck feet. I was really careful watching duck feet. I would go to the store, and when I was pushing the cart, I would push the cart with my hands like this. Or I would sit at my desk and I would do shoulder rolls. And I was very mindful of my movement the whole time. And so it began to be, I realized somewhere in there that it had become natural for me to think about T-Tapp even when I couldn't do T-Tapp. And I saw Charlotte at a wedding. By the way, Charlotte and I need to explain how I know her. We went to college together. And we've known each other for a long, long time. And as you can tell, her family is really good friends of mine. And I saw Charlotte at a wedding, and I was just telling her, okay, this is what happened. I'm really mad that I can't finish this, but you know, this is what's happening. And she said, you need to send that in. You need to tell Teresa. And so I went ahead and finished and did the essay and sent it in. And I was really defiant the day I did it because I couldn't even find my camera. I was bound and determined I was going to do it just to finish what I started. My husband took the photos with the iPhone because we couldn't even, they're horrible photos. We couldn't even find the camera. And we sent them in. And so when I got the email, I emailed Charlotte. I was like, what in the world happened? I couldn't believe that you would actually do that. But the real secret or the real surprise was that when I had done my measurements at the end of the challenge, because Charlotte encouraged me to do it, I lost, I think it was 26 inches. And you know, when you're my size, you can lose 26 inches probably faster. But still, it was 26 inches. And I may not have finished the way I wanted, but I had finished with hope. Right. And that is the real crux of this whole thing. And everything I've been listening to, as I've listened to you guys, one after the other, say things that I've dealt with over the last 22 years, I've realized that more than anything, you guys are able to give hope. Your stories give hope. Teresa, you give hope. Charlotte, you gave me hope. I would have never believed it if it wasn't somebody I knew. And thank you so much for doing that. My favorite scripture, and I'm done, is Psalm 71:14. And it's, as for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.